Alright, welcome back to the channel, and thanks for watching our video from last night on our whereabouts of Gretchen Fleming as we continue our search. So, we're going to take a deep dive here before Friday's big show on the top 10 places to search for Gretchen, and we're going to analyze whether there's a real possibility that Preston Pierce is a sex trafficker versus a murderer. So Friday night, to recap, if you have missed that show, we went out to St. Mary's with a couple other people, with three of us, and we basically found the location of where we thought Gretchen was. We smelled death in one very focused spot, and we got caught there. Somebody was glaring at us, a black truck showed up, we kind of hightailed it out of there. And there wasn't this opossum on the railroad tracks. I went over video footage and I didn't see it. So the next morning, myself and another person, a different person, go down and we call 911. We get the cops involved and that black truck shows back up. And we believe it's Jeff Jarvis and Jason Pape. Jeff Jarvis appears to just be a friend and a co-worker of Jason Pape, but they seem to have, if this was those people in the vehicle, I can't 100% say it was, but I showed the state trooper who was there a picture of Jeff Jarvis's Facebook profile, and he did say it looked like him, but we couldn't confirm it. And I showed it to the other cop, and they thought that the smell that we were smelling was this dead opossum. Well, the opossum's head was in the middle of the railroad track, and the body was decapitated from it off to the side. And I went looking through my pictures, and I think I actually did take a picture of it, so I'm going to see if I can't upload that for the thumbnail on this video for you guys, that you've probably already seen by the time you watch this video. But it's very interesting because it just clearly wasn't there the night before. So we think that they moved her body, they knew we were there, we were talking about a smell, and they probably used that to cover it up. When we went back that next morning, there was no smell at all. Not even the state trooper noticed a smell. My friend that went with me, he did not notice a smell. It was very mysterious. So where they would have relocated her body, I can't honestly tell you. It would have to logically be somewhere very close. Could be in their property, on their grounds, I don't know. But it would be nice if maybe somebody else could either make it back to that location, or if we got a hold of St. Mary's police and gave them these tips again and had them look at traffic cameras for the stoplight going out of the Carpenter Bridge toward Ohio and other places on Route 2. Because there are only two ways to really get there. I mean, you've got Route 2 and you've got that bridge that goes into Ohio. So tonight we're going to take an analytical approach as to the possibility of Preston Pierce being a sex trafficker versus a murderer. So the story known to most people is that Gretchen Fleming went out on the night of December 3rd with a friend who we believe was Jason Pape now, that Gretchen's father David was protecting the anonymity, or protecting the identity rather, of this man. And we still don't have answers as to why that happened. I don't know. I can't tell you. Maybe he was a family friend and he just didn't want his name out there. I don't know. I'm not going to look into that too much right now, but that's just the man that we have identified. Now, Parkersburg police have cleared Jason Pape, and it's my understanding that as soon as Gretchen disappeared, he had her belongings in a purse and went down to the police station, cleared his name right away, and dropped her belongings off at the Front Row Bar on Emerson Avenue, which was the first place that they went for the night. There are some details that night that we're going to release on our big show Friday night at 9 p.m. if you want to tune in for that a lot of people don't really know about what happened that night. But long story short, when he dropped those belongings off, or before he dropped the belongings off, he saw Preston Pierce in the parking lot. He came back. Gretchen was not in the vehicle. He refused to give the items to Preston Pierce, and then proceeded to clear his name with police and dropped the stuff off the following morning, which was a Sunday, December 4th, at Front Row Bar. And when that stuff was dropped off, which was her purse, her debit cards, and her cell phone, it sat there for 7 to 8 days until the father, David Fleming, decided to go back out and get them. And how he knew they were there, I'm going to assume that Jason reached out to him and said, hey, At this point, this is where her stuff is. Why it took that long, I don't know. That's not a very good friend to me, if you ask me, but that's the way it all played out. So here we are 6 months later, and we still don't really know where she's at. The reward is now increased to $100,000, and a lot of people are invested in this search. They're investing a lot of their time, energy, and into it. And some people a little bit on the money. Some people are making shirts and stuff and trying to create awareness, and that's good. We support that. We're all in this together. If it sounds like we're against the police force, we're really not. But our team has our ideas, and the Parkersburg Police has their ideas. They get hundreds of tips from the public on a weekly basis, including some from our own team, and there are reasons why we believe the things we do. Like I said, we are not against the family on this. We are on their side, and we want to help, but we are trying to figure out what is all going on from all angles. So, with that being said, we're going to take a deep dive tonight, and we're going to look at whether Preston Pierce is a sex trafficker. So on that front, you go back and you hearken all the way back to 2015 and 16, when he was writing reviews for a travel site. I don't know which one it was. I couldn't actually see the URL, so I didn't get to identify which one it was. But he was writing several reviews, which many of you guys saw and read. And in those reviews, he would write things like the names of employees who worked at various locations, and it wasn't just local. The local places were places like McDonald's in Mineral Wells and surrounding restaurants around here. And it wasn't just names, it was descriptions of what they were wearing, how they had their hair. Specifically at McDonald's, in his write-up there, back in 2016, he identified 3 workers' names, and the people he didn't get the names of, he was apologizing for. And he said, well, I'm sorry, I didn't get the names. Why is it so important that you get the names of all the workers there? Why is it so important when you're writing a review that you have to commend each worker and rate their job performance? I can understand talking about the tables and the dirtiness and stuff like that, but when you're getting that specific, you're not just writing a review. You're working with somebody. And it is our belief that Preston Pierce was using these reviews as a way of human trafficking. And it has been going on for a number of years. So we also take a look at the other states he has been living in. And we have searched on former addresses of Darrell Lott before he changed his name over to Preston Pierce, and you get the states of Georgia and North Carolina. Now, as some of you guys know, North Carolina, he lived about what I call a stone's throw away from where Gretchen Fleming was going to school. One of them was in Raleigh, and the other one was in Eastover. Preston was in Eastover. Gretchen Fleming was going to school in Raleigh. That's about an hour's distance driving apart. Now, was there any correlation? Has he been on her case unknowingly for a long time? We don't know, and we can't yet confirm that. But our team has gathered some information and some facts along the way, and we do know that the politics may have come into play on this. While Preston was a conservative, or at least he appeared to be, Gretchen definitely was on the liberal stance. She supported women's rights. She went to rallies. I believe she went to the January 6th speech with Trump out there. And some of these things may have made her a target. We don't know. We can only hypothesize and theorize. Maybe that was in play, maybe that wasn't. But regardless, we do know the timeline does match up. Both Preston Pierce and Gretchen Fleming both lived in North Carolina in the same time frame, or at least partially in the same time frame. There are, I don't want to say reports, there are rumors that other women have gone missing in the state of North Carolina. Has that been tied to Preston? Not directly. Could it be tied to Preston? Absolutely. There are rumors that there are some women missing in Georgia. We have not done due diligence and looked into the names of these missing women because we haven't had a lot of time. You know, we work our jobs. Everybody's got to do this stuff around their jobs. With the police, that is their job, at least specifically to the people who have been assigned to the case. So they've got more time to focus on these things. They've got more time to sift through the tips and the leads, whereas we have to do this in the available time that we have. And as I said, there are a lot of people working on this throughout, so we appreciate everybody that's contributed, not just on our team, but the whole community. The searches, everything anybody's done, you know, we appreciate it, and the family appreciates it. That's what this is about. This is about delivering justice. Whether she's dead or alive, that family does need justice. No matter what you think is going on with this case, nobody deserves to have a granddaughter or a daughter either trafficked or murdered. It's one or the other. We know that. And as each day passes on, it appears to be one versus the other, but we don't know until we know. And yes, the reward continues to climb to $100,000. That brings up a reminder of somebody out in Montana who's been missing for about 2 years from Bridger Teton National Forest. And there's been a lot of things going on out there in that state park, and that reward for that man is up to $2 million now. So we just want this to be over. We don't care who finds her, and that's why we're doing some of these shows, is to put information out that maybe somebody else knows something, maybe they can join the search, the cause, and find where she's at. Back to Preston Pierce on the idea of him being a human trafficker. So when he changed his name, I think the year was 2009 when he left the police force. I might have that year wrong, and I'll have to double check on that with our sources, but there's also a character in a movie called Girls for Rent. It was made in, I believe, 1976, and the name itself implies human trafficking. Now, the movie itself actually wasn't about that. It was about these women that busted out of prison, I believe it was, and the man who was the lead character, his name was Preston Pierce, and he busted them out, and they were on the run. Preston Pierce, another possibility of him changing his name to that could have been where he grew up in Ravenswood. He lived on Preston Street, and I think Pierce was also the name of his uncle or grandfather. Some kind of play on names there. So that could maybe be the reason he changed his name there too. One of our sources has thrown that out a few times. So we don't know for sure, but you got to understand, he's writing the travel reviews of all these places, and like I said, it wasn't just in Mineral Wells, it was also down in Honduras, where he met his one wife down there, and it ended up getting married to her, and there was a lot going on down there too. It was more of the same thing. I'm sorry I didn't get their name. I don't remember the name, but you know, I'm really sorry about that, but you know, the performance was either great or poor. And there just seemed to be that focus on and description on the hair and what they were wearing, and you know, I mean, that's what we got. So that's my belief, is that he passed Gretchen off to somebody else. And we do believe that Jason Pape is involved. To what extent, we don't exactly know. But we do believe that the black truck that we saw the other night, on Friday night and Saturday morning, is probably the same truck that Gretchen had taken a ride in the night she disappeared. So how significant is that black truck in this whole case? I don't know. But it is an oddity, and it is a part of this case. Now, she didn't disappear in that vehicle. She disappeared in Preston Pierce's black Nissan Rogue One with the Darth Vader stickers and the Pittsburgh Penguins license plate. And that car is still up in labs. It still has not come back. Now, we got an announcement from Detective Zimmerman probably about 4 weeks ago now, announcing that he may or may not have DNA evidence in this case from labs. And we haven't heard anything yet, and I think that's because the car still hasn't come back. They've been about 4 months behind in Charleston on labs from another murder case out there or something. Why this stuff is sitting there for as long as it is, it just blows my mind. I mean, there's no reason for this. Stuff shouldn't be backed up in labs when you've got active possible murder cases going on. I mean, it just blows my mind. And it screams incompetence. We should demand better from our Justice Department on this front. We really should. So that's where we stand right now. We're going to give you more of an update on Friday when we have our bigger show out there, and I'm going to try to give you guys updates night by night until we hit Friday. So God bless you guys. Thank you for everybody who's invested their time into this case. We're not giving up. That's one thing we said when we started this, is it's not about us, it's about finding her.